Welcome to the Parliament, and I now give the call to the Honourable Member for Franklin, and this is his inaugural address.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today for me is a very humbling day. It is a tremendous honour to be elected to represent my fellow Tasmanians in this Parliament. It's a responsibility that I do not take lightly and an opportunity that I will embrace with everything I have. Mr. Speaker, I am well aware that my passage into the House of Assembly was not along the road most travelled. I've been swept into this chamber in the wake of two Tasmanian political giants and two passionate members for the electorate I now represent. Paul Lennon and Paula Reid are icons of the Labor Party in this state. They've sat in this Parliament for a combined total of 31 years. The greatest trait that they share in common is their deep commitment to the ideals of the Labor Party, in fighting for the rights of the disadvantaged, in believing that every person has a right to be valued, and in working to build a more vibrant and more caring Tasmania. I believe that their great achievements for this state will be celebrated for many years to come. It was a great privilege to work in the office of Paul Lennon during his time as Premier. His leadership in supporting economic development through value-adding projects like the pulp mill, and the passion with which he led Tasmania to be the first and only state in Australia to provide compensation to the stolen generations were just two of his many tremendous contributions. As the youngest member of this current Parliament, my aspiration is to do what I can to emulate their successes in advocating on behalf of the people of Franklin. I will be in this place fighting for the timber workers of the Huon Valley, their families and communities, and for their right to ongoing employment in an industry that has supported generations of families in Geeveston and Huonville. I will be in here advocating for the rights of the disadvantaged and the unemployed, the people who have lost hope in ever sharing in the benefits the rest of us take for granted. I believe my job as a parliamentarian is to stretch out a helping hand at every opportunity, and it's a task I approach with great enthusiasm. Mr. Speaker, as I drive through my electorate to sit down and listen to the needs of local communities, I am always struck by what a beautiful place the electorate of Franklin is. Whether you are driving past the ocean and river views of Lindisfarne, Bellerive and Rosny, the beaches of the South Arm Peninsula, Kingston and Blackmans Bay, the small villages along the Channel, the green hills of the Huon Valley or the bays of Bruny Island, it's a place of some magic. And stretching to the west, covering most of the electorate of course, is the vast wilderness of the Southwest National Park. And wherever I go, I meet people who have a commitment to their communities, a sense of ownership and belonging to their part of Tasmania. People who have such a passion for the work they do to make their community a better place, and I am always reminded that it is in fact these people that are the community. A collection of roads and houses would be nothing without the energy and the love and the belief of the people that live in those houses and drive on those roads from Clarence to Dover and everywhere in between. They are the coordinators of neighbourhood houses and community centres, the chiefs of volunteer fire brigades, the secretaries and presidents of sports clubs, community associations, chambers of commerce, school parents and friends organisations, seniors and youth groups, RSL sub-branches, Lions, Rotary and Apex clubs, Coast Care and Land Care groups and historical societies. Their community spirit and selfless dedication reaffirm my faith in the limitless capacity of the people of Tasmania. What better job is there in the world than one which puts you in touch with these places and these people every day? Mr. Speaker, I first moved to Tasmania at the age of 10 when my father, faced with the choice between two job offers, decided to move here rather than Papua New Guinea. He's a keen bushwalker, and one of the factors in his decision was his love of the Tasmanian wilderness. Encouraged by my father, I've also become a bushwalking enthusiast and have developed an abiding respect and affection for Tasmania's wild places. Being an expert in information technology, my father also cultivated my interest in the possibilities of technology as an agent for positive change. I continued my interest in IT right through to my honours year of an undergraduate degree in computing, and a little later when I worked part-time as a branch development manager for the Australian Computer Society. At the time, I believed strongly in the power of information and communications technology to shape the way we live and work, and I still do. My interest in IT was motivated by a desire to have some part in changing the world, But while I was at university, I must have been struck by the realisation that another profession had a greater transformational power. Like many politicians, my interest and involvement in politics started at university. I joined the Labor Party in early 2000 after talking with friends who were involved in the campaign to reverse the defunding of higher education by the Howard government. In such a competitive global environment where so many countries were making massive investments in the universities, I failed to understand why Australia was the only country in the OECD to reduce its higher education funding as a proportion of its gross domestic product. Like the Premier and the Labor politicians that have graced this House for generations, I believe in the power of education. We on this side of the House know that it is an honour and something worth fighting for. This party was built by people who had to fight for the right to an education, who were born not into a world of opportunity but into a world where you had to struggle for every chance that you could get. The belief that has driven the Australian Labor Party for over 100 years is a passionate devotion to the idea that as a society we rise together, that we can only celebrate true equality when every Tasmanian child has the same chance at education and the same standard of health care regardless of the income of their parents or their station in life. I remain a proud and committed member of the Labor Party because I recognise that it is the only party that truly understands how to harness the drivers of economic growth and productivity to deliver the education and health services that we need.